Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Wrap Up. As always, I am Monte Moore, and actually, we're just doing a quick video today. There were several Packers assistants had media availability, but I'm going to specifically cover some of the stuff that new special teams coordinator Rich Bisaccia had to say. It's his first media availability after the big hire. Obviously, every single Packer fan was clamoring for a change to be made at that position. So it was awesome to see him up there today and kind of see what his philosophies were, what he thinks, makes a good coach. So, Matt LaFleur told us a few weeks ago, actually, that he was a fiery guy and he did not oversell that. He was asked about that, and Bisaccia said, I'm kind of short, I'm bald, and I'm Italian, so maybe that makes me mad at everybody. So he kind of definitely set the stage for his personality, which was nice. He was asked off the bat why come to Green Bay, and his answer was great. He said it's the Green Bay Packers. It's the opportunity to be with one of the marquee teams, and they set a standard, and the standard is winning it all. And he voiced excitement and energy for the position after specifically meeting with Matt LaFleur. He said he's all football, and he gets to be reunited with Joe Barry, another coach he's worked with in the past. So it's always awesome to hear what an appreciation guys from around the league have for the legacy of this team, whether that be front office people, coaches, or players themselves. That always makes you feel good as a fan. And knowing that the special teams unit overall needs, a complete teardown and rebuild, so to speak. He said he'd like to start at the beginning: personnel, scheme, and people. Great quote. He said, "If you get good people at a great place, magic can happen." So it does really feel like he believes it's a great fit for him. Again, going from being the first interim coach to ever make the playoffs, he very easily could have, quote unquote, held out for a head coaching job. He was certainly, getting that kind of love, but it's clear he loves what he does, and he clearly feels that this special teams unit and this team itself is a good fit for what he would like to do. And he did go on to mention multiple times what great potential he could see in working with this team would be. So that's another confidence booster. He was asked, what makes a good special teams unit, and he just said it's philosophical. He said, put a unit together that cares about each other, knows what to do, competes at relentless effort, and improves every day. He made a point of saying, as a special teams unit, they don't get 3 downs to get it right. We have one play to make a difference, and the players have to understand the significance and the criticalness of that particular play. You can really see why, his players have always lauded him as a great coach for playing under him. They've always loved it. He definitely presents himself as a guy that gives you the why behind what he's asking the players to do. It sounds simple, right? Tell me why you're asking me to do this, but people don't always get that kind of feedback. So it's nice to see, and it sounds like he takes the time to really reinforce the principles behind what he's coaching these guys up to do. And we know that, the roster right now is carrying 3 kickers, which is somewhat unprecedented. And he specifically made a point to address that. So I wanted to highlight that. He said, we have to see who is who and what is what. He was excited to work with Mason Crosby, who he actually did work with at the Senior Bowl when Mason was coming out the year he was drafted. But he specifically mentioned he's excited to work with him because he's seen him come back from a down year in the past and succeed. So we obviously all know the struggles that Mason had last year. Whether or not they were all his fault is obviously up for debate, and that's a hotly contested issue, but it's nice that he specifically earmarked him as a guy that he has seen struggle and be successful again. So that's obviously the eye that he has for Mason Crosby. He did say he doesn't expect that they'll hit camp with 3 kickers. He would expect to, but he does want an opportunity to see and work with them all, and obviously to talk to Goody and Matt LaFleur about those other 2 kickers. We do know that another signing that the Packers did have, where they signed cornerback Keyshawn Vaughn from Vegas, a guy who has played a ton of special teams under Rich Bisaccia. He was asked what he liked about him, about what he does for him. He said he's fast, he's physical, and he doesn't take shit from anybody. He's excited for him to be a part of the Packers. So, again, a unit that we would all agree needs a complete overhaul. It's nice to see that he's getting, his guy specifically that he wanted, which also kind of goes over into what he mentioned about signing Pat O'Donnell. But we all know that Packers got rid of Corey Bojorquez, pretty much a move that was done immediately after signing him. And he said he was excited to get Pat. He tried to get him 4 years ago when the Raiders were still in Oakland. Specifically said things like he's played really well in bad weather and he's a wonderful holder. His job at holder is to make things right for the snapper, and that makes things right for the kicker. So, I mean, that's kind of talking directly to us because, as a fan base, we loved Corey Bojorquez, but as soon as the weather turned, he became a lot less effective, and we had just seen that also with J.K. Scott. So they have a veteran guy in there that has had a history of kicking well in bad weather, and his his acumen as a holder is good too, because we know we had a lot of issues with that on the field goal unit operation last year. I liked what he said about, he was asked if coaching special teams was a thankless job, and he really put it into perspective. He said, we're just coaching football. We aren't curing cancer. We have a certain zeal for players, certain zeal for competitiveness, and a certain zeal for detail. I feel like I'm a teacher. I just happen to be fortunate enough to be teaching my passion. So, I mean, again, every answer he gave today basically really showed you why these dudes love playing for him. And the last thing I wanted to highlight is this was, for me, the biggest takeaway. He was very big on getting across that he really values input and being, coached up from the players to him. He specifically talked about wanting to learn from Mason Crosby what's working well for him currently and what he would like to see changed. And that way he can get a mix of everything they're going to need to be successful. So if you want to take away one thing from his availability today, he's a very inspiring guy, very engaging, and I think it's going to be a great addition to this staff. And from a position which was universally agreed upon as being the weakest on the team, he certainly has a big job to do, but seems like, job one, finding the right guy to do it, it certainly seems like right now they have a guy that they think can absolutely be successful. So that was just my quick recap of the availability today. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time. As always, go Pack Go.